So as a sound technician, one of the events that I got to work was a 25th anniversary event here at SABIAN. And partway through that event, they took a break. And I walk out of the room and there's a little kitchenette area where everyone's kind of milling about. And Bob Zildjian actually asked me if I wanted a cup of coffee. And I said, yeah, I'll get a cup of coffee. He goes, that's not what I said. I asked you if you wanted a cup of coffee. And then proceeded to pour me a cup of coffee and ask me what I took in it and serve me a cup of coffee. And I realized at that point that the heart of SABIAN started at the very top and was down through the whole place. My name is Randy Ross. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at SABIAN Cymbals. I started at SABIAN November 16th of 2021, and I became the Director of Research and Development in April of 2024. In grade 6, I wanted to join the school band, and then they handed me a trumpet and I failed miserably. And then he jokingly handed me drumsticks and my grip was perfect, and he made me play a paradiddle on a practice pad and then made me first snare drum. And that locked me into a position where I didn't immediately understand what drums were, but I immediately fell in love with them the minute that the power and energy come off of them. Fast forward to grade 8, switched schools, new school drum kit. A bandmate at school, when I mentioned the difference in the cymbals from school to school, said, well, they're all SABIANs and they come from just down the road. And I kind of laughed, what do you mean? And he tells me that SABIAN is just a few kilometers away from the school. Fast forward another year, year and a half, and I'm looking for a used drum kit. We go through the local newspapers, classified ads, and see that there's a gentleman selling electric drums. And this gentleman's name is Peter Stairs, who is the Vice President of International Sales here at SABIAN. We went in, met Peter, bought the kit, and he said if I ever moved up to an acoustic kit and needed cymbals, to reach out to him, and handed me a business card. At that point, I played that kit for probably a year. Called Peter, and he brought me personally down to the factory and let me pick out my cymbals and everything. I still bought them to the local music store. Fast forward to July of 2021, middle of COVID, I'm working for a separate company at an at-home position, and I see a message from Peter Stairs saying, I'd like to talk to you sometime. So we make a plan, I come down, I sit in a room with Mike Connell and Mark Love, Peter and myself, and they tell me what the position entails and what's involved, and that's to learn from Mark and backfill him when he's ready to retire. And then Mark and I went on a 3-hour tour of the factory, and he just kept pulling cymbal after cymbal at me and let me try it and describe it and tell him stuff, and we would do that, and then he'd just set it down and move on to the next thing, and I was just like, what's going on? After a few hours of that, we go upstairs and sit down, and Mike goes, so, and Mark goes, he's got the ears and the personality, I think it's a go. Then in November of 2021, I started at SABIAN. Research and development for SABIAN has multiple facets. You're looking at what the capabilities of the manufacturing process are, what improvements you can make to that process, whether it be efficiency or improved quality or whatever. And then you also have to come at it from the artistic standpoint of, what's the changes happening, what's the trends in the music industry. Are you hearing artists go a different direction? A lot of people would look at a cymbal and think it's a very simple thing, but when you dig into the meat and potatoes of what each little manufacturing step can do, it's rather infinite what you can create. And the interesting thing was, training under Mark, I would have numerous ideas, and fairness to Mark, I would say at least 50% of any idea I had, he would just walk over to a shelf and, yeah, it's right here. We made that 10 years ago, or I tried that 5 years ago, or whatever. It's like, okay, so it's been there. But then, the other half of the time is like, let's go find out. So Andy Zildjian always makes the statement anytime he's around me and anytime I see him in public, is that we have fearless innovation. And what that means is if I have an idea today, whether it be directly from me or something that an artist has said or an inspiration from seeing what's going on in the music world, I just go create it. If you have an idea that you think will work, you just go do it. And that's the coolest part of this job, is that it's fearless innovation. You just think of it and do it. If you happen to find your passion, whether it be drumming, guitar, photography, lean into what your passion is, because the only way you're ever going to find out what's possible is to stay there. I would never have guessed that all of my passions could have lined up to give me that one thing, because it all lands here at this job.